Hey guys, and welcome back to another earlier than normal edition of our Stars and Stripes and Maple Syrup. We have Maryland's David Colquhoun. Is it Colquhoun?
Yep, perfect.
Colquhoun with us today. We've just sat and watched the Birmingham match. So, David, thoughts?
Uh, you know, um, it was a good game until the last 20 minutes, right? I think that they were in control. I thought with the depleted squad, they played very well, but we saw some of the cracks, right? Especially towards the end there.
No, I definitely agree with you. I got to be honest, I didn't enjoy the game from start to
Yeah,
finish. I don't know what it is about Mowbray's Sunderland side. I think I just enjoyed watching us press high and put teams under pressure under Neil, and I'm
yeah,
missing that. I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely missing the what I
intensity.
seem as the
Yeah,
lack of intensity, but that again could be down to the fact that if you look at the starting lineup today, we were missing Sirkin, Gooch, Alessi, Ballard, Stewart's still not fit.
right,
Um, Lugo 9 was suspended. So, I mean, there was
right.
a lot missing that you would normally see in and around the first team. So, again, look, I was never a fan of the Mowbray appointment, but I'm not about to be Mowbray out anytime soon. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
I have,
currently
I have to
12th in the
agree. I mean,
league.
I thought watching the and I know that you've talked about this before, but with the way that they were set up with Sims up top, there was no pressure, and they would literally drop off, and the Birmingham back four, they had the freedom there. So I agree with you. It's definitely a
I
very
mean, look,
different
I
style.
definitely think if you look at the fact that a player we would have loved to have had at the club this season and last season in Sanderson, who had a great long spell with us from Wolves,
Hmm.
I think he bossed Sims all over the park today. Didn't give him
Yeah,
a minute to kind of settle himself. When the ball was there to be run, he was challenging. He was challenging hard but fair.
yeah,
Um,
and he nearly scored, right?
Nearly scored twice in the same
Yeah,
attack.
twice. Yeah,
Um, yeah, fortunately we were lucky in the fact that I think it was the Birmingham striker who was going in for the ball, um, was the one who actually blocked it on the line.
yeah.
And then obviously, I don't think Patterson had any idea about where the shot was going. He just made himself as big as he could and tried to close him down and got the save there as well. So, look,
Yeah, I
it
think
was a hard
Patson
fought
was a
game.
highlight, right? I mean, he had a couple of really key saves.
Yeah, I can't remember cursing at all during the match. As in, what's he been doing?
Yeah,
Um, I'm still never confident when he comes out for the ball. He doesn't dominate his areas like a lot of keepers can. Um, but I mean, you look at the save that early on in the first half. Birmingham were one on one the keeper. He made
yeah,
himself big and got the block.
yeah.
Um,
It's right before the halftime, right? It was almost like the exact same position he got in for the Wickham game at Wembley. He just got down and closed, and
yeah,
they tried to put it through
there's
his legs,
nowhere
and
to put it.
he got it. Yeah,
And look, there were times during the beginning of the season when it was Alessi, sorry, it was Bath, Alessi, and O'Nine in the back three. And I asked the question, why can't Bailey Wright get into the team?
now we know.
I think now we know.
Yeah,
The fact that Bailey Wright is going to the World Cup is almost as big a travesty as the fact that the World Cup's in Qatar.
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, the Australian manager's got to be looking at that and going, you know,
Struth.
what do I do with him? Can
Yeah.
we change that?
Yeah. Is it too late? Like, is he
Yeah,
injured? Can we lie?
yeah,
No, I mean, look, I think so. If we look at the starting lineup, there were more changes than we expected. Four changes from the side that was abjectly poor against Cardiff. I think
right.
O'Nine being suspended made it easier to get rid of him than maybe
Hmm.
dropping him.
Yeah,
But Sirkin, I wasn't aware of a booking for Sirkin or any suspension. So I wasn't sure why he didn't make the team. Whether it's just he's played a lot of football since he came back from injury and needed a
yeah,
break. I'm not sure.
yeah. I don't know. I didn't see anything either, and I think that given that to have two very young players back there, I think it's there's that balance of confidence versus risk, right?
Yeah. I think if you've got just Bath back there,
Yeah.
who's what, 30, 31,
Yeah.
he's definitely a calming influence in there. Whereas Wright, as much as I've liked Wright and I've got no problem with him, he's a bit all over the place. He was very arms in the air, kind of flailing around, which
he's got a penalty in him, right?
He's definitely got a penalty in him, and he reminds me a lot of players like Nyron Nosworthy, who tries real hard but doesn't really have the quality to be in the shirt. And I think when Ballard and Alessi are fit, I think he goes back to warming the bench personally.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. I think that was one of the things about today's game was, we were looking at squad players and you look at the depth that we're missing. I mean, even Sims did a great job up top controlling and trying to distribute the ball, but it shows you what Ross Stewart brings to the team, because it's more than just using your body to hold the ball up and then dropping it off, because he makes the runs in behind. He does a lot more work than Sims does. And Sims, I mean, he took his goal very well. It was a great strike.
Really well taken.
Yeah. But I think Ross Stewart offers so much more as
I think Stewart is a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Calm.
Yeah.
I think when the ball goes up to him, he's a couple of inches taller, so he knows he's got a better chance of winning those aerial duels and being able to bring the ball down. And I don't think he panics so much with his back to goal. I think he's able to look up and have that extra second of time that a quality player has and pass the ball off to a Sunderland player and maintain possession.
I think he likes getting the ball at his feet as well. I think that, he's comfortable. And I think that's one of the ways that he's really underrated, because it's like, oh, he's a big guy, play the ball into him high. But when he takes a ball in his feet, he knows what he's doing with the ball right away. He moves the ball and then he moves. So it's just a different dynamic, because you can play him in a lot of different ways.
No, I completely agree. And I think that part is part of what I've missed with him being gone is the fact that we've too often at this level been poor with our ball retention. And the amount of times the ball will go backwards behind. I think there was an opportunity for, in the second half, Roberts was running on. I think it was Neil played the ball, and the ball was some 10 yards behind where he'd been when Neil had last looked up. But then it took a second and passed, and Roberts had already made the move. So obviously, too often I find that I'm complaining that Sunderland are passing the ball behind the player as opposed to running onto it. So it's disappointing that we keep making those same basic errors, the schoolboy stuff that you're taught. Literally, it's okay, when you're passing the ball, pass it to where he's going to be, not to where he was.
No, I agree with that.
We mentioned that Bailey Wright was fairly woeful today. I think as woeful as Wright was, I think you got to look at both Hume and Huggins coming in and being exemplary.
Yeah, I think that Huggins, he was a little shaky in the beginning, and I think a part of that was getting the defensive support, having the players come back and support him. And actually, I think in the second half, it was interesting when Ahmad went off and Patrick Roberts came on, he didn't track back. There was one instant where he just stopped. He stopped and literally just watched the game, and it was like at least Ahmad was going back and covering. But I think that Huggins and Hume played well, and they had the support of their teammates, right?
I think Huggins was kind of breathing out his ass at the end of the first half. I think he definitely was ready for the halftime whistle. And I think Bath was probably playing a little wider, which may be what caused the disparity in Bailey Wright's performance in the second half. But yeah, I mean, those two fullbacks, they stayed tall. They kept playing, and I thought they're probably the toss up between the two of them for a man of the match.
Yeah. I think that and obviously Ahmad scoring that goal and the way that he set up the first goal as well. I think that there was a lot of positives of the way that he was physical. He kept playing. So I think that I would look at him as well, because his performance. I was making some notes, and I thought, even in like the second minute, and I saw Ahmad was coming down and pressing the play. I mean, he was running like his ass was on fire, right? And it was so you see that energy and enthusiasm, and gotta like it.
No, I love the vibrancy he brings to the team. Definitely. I tell you who else put in a hell of a shift, and this is going to be the second week in a row that I'm praising him, and it's not something that I've been known to do. But I thought Evans was fantastic today.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up actually, because I thought that he played very well, brought a lot to the game, but was also very smart. And you could see that he was sort of leading the team as well. I think he earns that captain's armband, right?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I mean, look, I still don't think he's the long-term answer. He's out of contract at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody a little bit quicker with a little bit more bite in the tackle. But right now, I think he's the cream of the midfield as far as that guy who's going to sit in front of the defense and just kind of marshal things. It hurts.
Yeah. How do you think his interaction is with Dan Neil? Because I thought Dan Neil played quite well today as well. I'm a big fan of Dan Neil, so and he's been in for a lot of stick for stuff, but I thought that his work rate was very good today.
So let's address Evans first.
Yeah.
We had John and Pete on from the Toronto meeting last week.
Yeah.
And we said that I don't think you can put Bart and Neil or Neil and Embleton or Neil and Mateta in that holding role right now, because I don't think any of those players are experienced enough at this level to be able to help dictate the pace of a game.
I agree.
But I think once you take Bart out, and now you've got the more controlled, mature head of Evans,
yeah,
who's played at this level for a number of seasons with Blackburn before he came to Sunderland. I think he then gives Neil the confidence that he's now got somebody level up behind him in play who can bail him out if he makes a mistake, because we know that as good as Neil is, he's got a mistake in him.
Yeah.
Whether that mistake is a mistimed tackle that creates pressure, or his passing could definitely do with some work. But to that, I mean, look, Neil does get a lot of grief, but I don't worry about it. It's a lot of grief from people who don't have and will never have his level of ability.
Yeah.
And who think that watching the match 2 times a week for 20 years gives them the authority to be able to dictate to say how good or bad a player is. Now, look, there's an irony in that last bit, because here we are sitting on the internet talking about our views on what it is. But, well, I don't think we have any problems with Dan Neil. If you think about it, this is his first season in the Championship. He's still very young. He's stepping up with an inexperienced side that's been ravaged by injuries.
Yeah.
So
he's been through, like last season, you look at in League One and he got ground into the concrete with that, playing week in, week out and struggling through that. I think that this division is a better place for him to be. And you look at the pass that he made for that goal. I mean, that was a fantastic ball, right? So I think he fits, and I think it's sort of the truth for the entire, well, not the entire team, but a lot of the team, is that they're young, they're going to make mistakes, and we have to get behind them, but at the same time, work on reducing those mistakes.
No, and look, I mean, Sunderland fans have never been the most patient when it comes to underperforming, and I think they're definitely harsher with their own than they are with players that they buy in. But I think that Neil probably gets grief because he's not Jordan Henderson. I think a lot of players expect, okay, you came through the ranks, you came through the academy, we expect you to be Jordan Henderson, because that's the level that we created. or that's the level that we developed. And they forget that even Jordan Henderson who came through, wasn't like a setting the world on fire player, even though he went for 16 mil to Liverpool even.
But he developed at Liverpool, right? I mean,
he did. He nearly left Liverpool on transfer to Fulham.
Right.
So that's how close he came to not being the Jordan Henderson we know. But yeah, I think, and I'm guilty of it myself with certain players that I just find an instant dislike to, that I'm hypercritical of the smallest of their errors. Looking back, maybe I was overly critical of Evans.
No, I have to disagree. I have to disagree with you on that one, because I think I remember when we signed him, and a lot of the Blackburn fans came in and said he's going to be injured right until it's time to play for his country, and then he's fit and he plays for his country. And we saw that when he came in. I mean, he was crocked, and that something changed in him, but he totally fit the stereotype of what everyone said he was going to be. And then something changed, and he's developed into a much more reliable leader of the team. So
I think he's become much more of a club player. I think at Blackburn, I mean, no disrespect to the Northern Ireland setup, it doesn't take a huge amount as a player in League One, League Championship, or Premier League to get into the Northern Ireland setup. And I don't really think there's that much in the way of competition for him. So I think he was prone to keeping himself fit for international games. And maybe, I mean, look, Ryan Giggs was the same with Wales.
Yeah.
But we're hardly Man United, so.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, we go in at halftime after Sims' goal 1-0 up. And I'm looking at my notes here as to my halftime notes. And I've just wrote here, Pritchard still gash at set pieces.
Oh yeah. I in the chat when I think it was the second free kick, and Ahmad was talking to him, and I was like, just let Ahmad take this.
Yeah, I mean,
got to switch something up. I mean, that was atrocious.
I mean, he hasn't scored in anywhere for since last season, since League One. I haven't seen a decent ball put in from him from a corner or a free kick. I mean, he's been woeful when it comes to dead ball situations. And he can't blame that on Stewart not being out and not being in that kind of false nine position he likes.
Right. No, I agree. And I think that, some of that has to lie with the coaching staff, right? It's, you look at other teams when the penalty taker's missing all the penalties, and it's like, let's switch up and try something else. But anytime the ref blows the whistle, he's the first one there grabbing a hold of the ball. And there are other options out there, and I think that that we should try and utilize them, right?
I mean, look, you've got creative players, and like you've got Clark, you've got Roberts to an extent, you've got Neil, you've got I mean, there's Ahmad, that's who I couldn't think of, Diallo, who have got something different to offer.
Right.
And I just think that it's time that maybe Pritchard doesn't take the next free kick where it's in a position, because he didn't come close at all today. Even though one where it was either him or Diallo in the second half, I think it was, it just trundled wide. It didn't bother anybody. There was no danger of it getting on target.
Yeah. And that one, again, it was in a position because it was central, but on the left-hand side of the box. And the way that the wall was lined up, if Ahmad being left-footed, make the keeper think,
I mean, the keeper
Ruddy was all the way
right
on the other side of the goal, just bend it around the wall.
Yeah, the keeper set him up to the right-hand side of the goal, expecting the shot to come in from Pritchard, which opened up that left side. Yeah, okay, you got to get up and over, but I'd have given that opportunity to Ahmad. I really would. But again, I mean, right at the end of the first half with 5 minutes to go, you had that through Birmingham through on goal. And as we said earlier, Pato's reflex save, keeping himself big. But what worried me is how big and strong Birmingham looked in comparison to us. Now, I know we have a small, young side, but we really do at times make it hard for ourselves by taking out our bigger players and bringing small players in to replace them, or creating a lineup against a big team like Birmingham for such small players.
I think it was the first corner when the Deeney, when they recycled it and Deeney hit the crossbar, and the camera pans over and there's Deeney standing right in front of Patterson, and Pritchard's trying to shoulder him, and Pritchard's head is like almost in Deeney's ass. It's like, who's making that decision? And
who in the pre-match one was like, all right, guys, on corners, I want to make sure you're on Deeney. I want to make sure you keep the ball away from him. Like, who? Like, it's like that would be like Sims, you be on Deeney. I mean, Deeney's a big unit. And he threw his weight around a lot. I was shocked he didn't get booked towards the end of the game.
Because he's a smart player as well, right? So he uses his body well. He has that experience, and that almost cost us in the first half.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good first half as far as the score was concerned.
Yeah,
but I know for me, there's a lot of things we need to work on at this level. When we come up against big teams like a Birmingham, like Watford were, we just don't seem to be able to get on the ball, pass it around, and actually dictate the play the way that we should be able to. Because we get involved in the big hustle bustle, the kind of the physicality of the game, which is not our strong suit.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think what ends up happening, because I made one of the notes that I had was, obviously when Hannibal got his yellow card and the commentator on ESPN was like, he's about to walk, at some point he's going to get a red card. But I thought at the same time, like Jack Clark was fortunate not to get something early on, because he was in a lot of one-on-ones with Acuna. And they were just, the guy was physical all over him, and Jack Clark he was kicking out, and it was kind of petulant, and it was like, you're running a risk there. You've got to be careful. When it's physical, you can't just start kicking out.
No, and there was an irony of Acuna. Was it Juninho Acuna?
Yeah. Juninho, yeah.
He irritated the shit out of me, because when he's not got the ball, he's that physical midfield player who's going to kind of rattle your cage. When he's got the ball, it's like a ballerina up against a ball. It's like
he's made of glass, right? He just went down every time. It's like clutching something, right?
But look, halftime came.
Yeah.
And I made a comment in the chat that I'm hoping it's not another one of Mowbray's famous team talks.
Yeah.
Because I can't see from the persona you get that comes across on TV. I just can't see how he's going to be able to inspire anybody. But look, we came out and scored in the first 5 minutes, and that was pretty much, I think that was the difference in the game.
Yeah.
I think once we had that 2-goal lead, we were able just to sit off a little bit. It was a great goal from Ahmad. And it gave us that confidence just to sit off and let Birmingham do. They weren't causing a great deal at the beginning of the second half. But quickly Birmingham became much the brighter side in that second half.
Oh, for sure. But just to jump back to the goal, I think that the pass that Dan Neal made cut through 3 or 4 Birmingham players, and then Ahmad, the way that he stepped inside, because he went sort of to the outside, and it was like one touch and hit. I mean, that was a phenomenal goal. I mean, really well taken.
He's been threatening those since he came over the club, though. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Ahmad. He wants to score those beautiful goals, and today he did. And for me, it was a case of, okay, we're 2-0 up. Let's not fuck this up.
Yeah. Yeah, we're waiting for Sunderland to happen, right?
Yeah. And I mean, looking at it, I mean, for most of that second half, we just couldn't get on the ball.
Yeah.
And when we did get on the ball, we gave possession up far too easily. And although I thought that going 2-0 up would allow us just to kind of be able to drop a little bit deeper, which again isn't my way of my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
But it would allow us just to drop a little bit deeper and let Birmingham come on to us, but be able to see everything from a 9 or 10 men behind the ball, just be able to kind of just take it easy and just kind of just marshal the game from that point of view. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't Sunderland today. And I think we need to learn that skill. If you look at us
Yeah.
against Burnley, we came out in the second half and capitulated pretty quickly. I think we need to learn that ability to just kind of see games out, not let the opposition get back in and then capitulate.
Yeah, and I think part of that is playing the way that we play. And one of the things in the second half, after it was 2-1, I think that a couple of times they did a really good job of playing out, because so often the ball goes back and Bart or Bailey Wright will just hump it up, and then it comes right back. So I mean, I think just getting a foot on the ball and keeping possession for a while, that kind of thing is what they need to do. But there's almost like a panic reflex where it's just hoof the ball out and wait for it to come back and organize, and that's where the pressure comes.
So, question for you. I mean, look, just on the hour mark, Birmingham made three substitutions that kind of brought them into the game a lot much more.
Yeah.
I thought Joe Bellingham had been fantastic for Birmingham up until that point of view, but I was glad to see the back of Hannibal.
Yes.
It was clear that we weren't going to rattle his cage in the second half and get him sent off, so he got brought off to kind of save himself. We brought on Roberts for Diallo on just after the hour.
Yeah.
But then we waited. I thought we waited way too long to kind of show things up, and obviously Birmingham. I mean, you had on 70 minutes. I think breath was collectively held as Sims looked as though he'd taken a knock.
Yeah, he went down, he sat down and then got up and then sat down again.
He sat down and then the camera panned away and we're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
No. And like part of me was like, well, it's okay because the World Cup break's coming up. We don't have a game now for nearly a month. Like, give us an opportunity. So we've got our back to the wall. Sims gets a knock. I thought we were lucky to get away with a penalty from Bath. And then Wright fucked up royally trying to. And again, I look at the way his body was lined up. And like when the ball's coming across you, like take even if it's your weaker leg, take it because then you're going through the ball.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He tried to kind of like just glide it up. And it was just, he missed the ball completely, which was the worst thing.
Yeah.
And obviously went straight to Birmingham and they were 2-1 back. And I was like, we're going to fuck this up. Well, we're really going to just mess this up with no real time left to do anything.
Right? They had all the possession, they had all the pressure, and it really felt like it was going to go in a different direction. And again, going back to with Bailey Wright, it's those it's almost like his brain switches off, because it was the same when Patterson made the save again at Wembley, and it was because Bailey Wright, I'm going to go get this ball, and the ball just sailed right over him. It's like there's something about it, just it switches off.
So I always call it the Homer Simpson moment. And it's kind of like that little Spanish drummer, the little Spanish boy music goes off in his head. Like he's there, he's talking with Bath, and all of a sudden his brain clicks off, and it's like do 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 do.
Yeah.
I say, oh no. It's like, yeah, and like I said, that's why he reminds me of a kind of a Titus Bramble, Nyron Nosworthy kind of defender. Yeah, look, he's a solid defender. He does the job he's supposed to do, but he's got a mistake or three in him.
Yeah. Mistakes and penalties, right? I mean, it's and it's the risk. So And it's, it's been so long since Ballard's been out. I mean, I can't wait till after the World Cup to see, if everyone comes back fit. I think this will be a very different team.
Well, I'm worried that well, I'm not gonna wind the Scottish viewers up. I was gonna say I'm worried that Stuart will get injured on World Cup duty, but obviously Scotland didn't make it. So
on the beach somewhere.
yeah, I mean, I think I saw something on Twitter this week that Sunderland are heading off to Dubai.
Yeah.
And they're going to play a friendly in Dubai.
Yeah.
Oh, tornado warning. That's more than a watch. Okay.
There you go.
We got Nicole coming through at the moment, so we've got tornado warnings at the moment. That's nice.
Yeah.
I'll get them in Sunderland.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't mind playing like closed door session, getting the warm weather training, because nobody wants to be training in Whitburn in December.
Right. Yeah.
On November, because we've got a game December 3rd.
That's right. Yeah.
Now we got Jewison Bennett and Wright going to the World Cup. They're the only two.
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, that's one of the benefits, right? Is that it's not going to be a bunch of players that are going to be potentially getting injured, potentially, being put in a shop window, right? And so, because I look at that, and this is the weird thing about having the World Cup where it is now, is I think that the January transfer window is going to be stupid, because there's going to be some guy from Ecuador that scores 4 goals, and they're going to.
Is he going to be from Ecuador?
They're going to throw money at him, right?
I'm saying, is he actually going to be from Ecuador?
No, well, I don't know.
Did you see that? There was an issue with a guy who played for them in the qualifiers, who's now an Ecuadorian citizen, but wasn't when he played. I think he's a Colombian lad.
Whoops.
And they've been deducted points from CONCACAF or whatever it is that in their current qualifying for the is it the what's the one that South America plays?
Oh yeah,
that one.
On the ball or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But FIFA decided that no action was going to be taken, and he's eligible for World Cup.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, I mean, look, the one thing we don't have to worry about is scouting the World Cup.
Yeah.
I still think it's a travesty that the World Cup's in Qatar in November.
I agree. It doesn't feel like a World Cup, right?
No.
I mean, it's.
I got to be honest, I'm not that bothered about watching it.
Yeah. I just got some invites the other day, and it's like someone said to me, "Oh, you should take the day off work and come watch the games." And
I'm guessing that's on the 29th for the Black Friday massacre.
Actually, it's the 20. It was the first game that I connected with a bunch of Brits here, so it's watching the England, one of the England games, and I think the Netherlands as well. But it's Black Friday is going to be it'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Or not.
We have family coming up, and I'm trying to justify getting away for the game. And my wife is like, "Oh, you could take Robert with you," and I'm like,
"No."
So let's ask the obvious question. We said that you were from Maryland, but obviously your accent dictates the fact that you're actually an American and not a Brit in exile. So explain to everybody watching how you ended up becoming a Sunderland fan.
Incorrect. I'm actually born and raised in Sheffield, and I've been in the US for over 20 years now, but I am a graduate of the fine institution of the University of Sunderland.
So there you go. All right, so I stand corrected in my posturepedic shoes.
It's been a little while since I've been back, but have a lot of really great memories of the city, and I was there the first year that the Stadium of Light opened, and had the chance to go there frequently, and growing up, my family are strange, we'll say. My dad's a Luton Town fan, which has always been something of a bit of mirth. Like, I saw all the pictures from Kenilworth Road, and like, I mean, that stadium's just a shithole. So
you got to be careful on that one, because
yeah.
I got some grief on the Sunderland fans message board, the SMB,
Yeah.
for calling Kenilworth Road and Luton in general a shithole. There were some people very defensive over Luton in general.
Oh, okay. Well,
can't understand why. I mean, I spent 2 years there and it was awful.
Yeah. Exactly. But I mean, I'm entitled to my opinion. That's the show. But but growing up, I mean, growing up in Sheffield, I had a lot of friends who were United and Wednesday fans, and I just never really settled on it. So when I went to Sunderland, and I just loved the atmosphere in the stadium. It's like nowhere else. I think that's one thing that we have going. The fans. I mean, you heard them tonight. It's like, all right, Birmingham, half the stadium's closed, but they're still getting 20,000 to a game. And you couldn't hear the home fans at all.
No, and that's something that's all. Like, I traveled with Sunderland as a kid, the length and breadth, and that's something I always enjoyed, was just how noisy we were. Even as Sunderland fans, we've probably seen more bad times than good.
Yeah.
But it's like you're 3-0 down at not even a hybrid at the Emirates to Arsenal.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then all you can hear around the ground is the Sunderland fans singing 3-0 and you still don't sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's a lot of self-depreciating humor in with those Sunderland fans, and it's so much fun to have grown up in that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something that I miss about being home, because generally if I do go home during a match, then it'll be a home game as opposed to being an away game. So I'm not traveling away from everybody.
Right.
But yeah, the Sunderland traveling fans. I mean, look, there's a lot of teams out there who've got a lot of really good traveling support. But I think you're hard pushed to find traveling fans as good as our lot.
Yeah, I agree. I was fortunate to get tickets for Wembley back in May, and I took my 18-year-old son with me, and he'd never been to a game in England before. And, we went to Trafalgar Square the night before, and he's just like, what the hell is going on here? And then going into the game, and just literally, he came back and said that was the most amazing experience. Like, there's nothing, you don't get that in American sports. And I think that's what makes it special.
I think there's a couple of occasions where American sports can give you the atmosphere. I think if you look at some of the big rivalry games in professional sports, like if you've got a Giants-Eagles game, because you've got obviously the Giant stadiums in New Jersey, and the state is pretty much split between Eagles and Jets and Giants.
Right.
So you get a lot of niggle between those fans, and a lot of those fans will travel to each other's stadium to watch the game because it's an hour and a half between the two.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Yankees, Red Sox, I think there's enough Yankees fans around the country that definitely in Boston area, you get a lot of that. And then it kind of teeters off. I've been promised to experience the Red River rivalry, which is OU and Texas.
Yeah.
My son-in-law's from Oklahoma, so we'll do one of those one year. And he promises me that that's as close to a Northeast derby as I'm going to get. I could take him to a Sunderland versus Bath City game, and there's probably still going to be more atmosphere and all that.
Right. That's a good point, though. I think the college sports probably has a little bit more. I remember the first time I went to an NHL game, and they were on commercial break, and all the things on the screen came out and said, "Make some noise," and everyone went, "Oh!" And then when it turned off, it was just the whole arena was silent again, and I'm just looking around, going, "What the hell's going on?"
It's definitely a very manufactured environment in American sports, as far as unless you're in a playoff game. I think regular season, especially basketball, is the worst because baseball's the worst because you got so many games in the regular season. You got stadiums like Baltimore Stadium, the Orioles. You've got it's a 50,000 capacity stadium, and they're not even pulling 10, 15,000.
Yeah, there's like 8,000 people in it. Yeah.
And it's not like 8,000 people all sat together. It's like all dispersed evenly around the ground. So there's no real buzz.
Yeah.
So that I think for me is the fact that you have your groups who grow up together, who go at the match together, who make the noise together, who travel together for away games, and you can't discount the away fans from the experience at all.
Oh, agreed.
Even with
you look at all the discussions that are going on about relocating the away fans in the Stadium of Light and trying to bring a little bit more, so they don't throw shit down there, but also bringing a little bit more atmosphere to it. And I think that there's a lot.
So I can understand why they were moved away from pitch side.
Yeah,
I understand the reasoning behind that. But just give them the southeast corner.
Yeah,
I mean the south stand is dull enough as it is. You don't want them in the southwest corner because that's where the hardcore chanting starts for the most part.
Yeah.
Move them a little bit further away. You don't want them behind the goal because that's where you want the noise coming from for us. So just put them in the lower bowl and in the southeast, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Just got to do some woodwork on the inside and put some dividers up.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right. Well, it's normally at this point of the day that we'd be looking to get a prediction for you for the next game. Obviously, that's December 3rd against Millwall, and we have no idea who's going to be fit, who's going to be ready. So I want to continue the charity bet theme. So I want to try and get as much money as possible for my friends GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So instead of doing Sunderland Millwall, we're going to do England USA.
Oh, geez. Put me on the spot. I think it's 2-0 England.
Okay. I'm going to go 3-0 England, but I'm going to go 3-0 battering where we could have had 10. I think we're going to destroy them. I really do.
I worry about looking at the England squad. It's I have some doubts, but if Harry Kane's fit, he'll score goals, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But then I don't know where the goals are coming from after that.
Yeah. It seemed, the other thing is they seemed really soft in midfield. There's not a lot there.
I don't know. I think if you look at the midfield, you've got Declan Rice is probably going to be our holding midfield player, and he's a cracking player.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got Henderson to relieve him if he starts to get tired, and Henderson will kind of calm things down. I think Foden has to start. I think you've got to start Grealish as well. Then that leaves you a Saka on the right. So there you're three attacking with Keane up ahead. And it's just, can you get Raheem Sterling in that team as well?
Yeah. Well, given his current form, I mean, I think that move to Chelsea was probably a bad decision, right?
I think every player's move to Chelsea is a bad decision.
It's true.
I can't think of a domestic transfer where you go from a British club to Chelsea that's worked out well.
Yeah.
Conte. I mean, Conte hasn't won anything since he went to Chelsea, has he? Like domestically?
No, and he's been cropped a lot of the time, right?
Chelsea's where you go for your payday.
Yeah.
And your injury time.
Right. Even going all the way back to Torres, right?
Yeah, Torres was
50 million and couldn't score a
even when
goal.
you look at someone like Andrei Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is about Chelsea. I think it's because they have such a huge squad and so many players go out on loan. Like, how the hell is Pulisic not a starting midfield player?
Right.
He's a supremely gifted player. But the Chelsea just buy players for the sake of buying them. And then they'll think, okay, well, we'll either send them out on loan or we'll worry about where to play them when the time comes.
Yeah, I when I was looking at the squad, I didn't realize how old Mason Mount was.
Was he 24?
No, he's Yeah, how old? I thought he was closer. He's like knocking up to 30, right?
No, really?
No.
I thought he was about the same age as Foden. Mason Mount is born in 99, so he's 23.
23. Okay. I must have misread it because I was like, damn, he's old, but apparently he's not.
Yeah, and then you got Phil Foden, born in 2000, who's 22.
Wow. Yeah,
Born in
yeah.
2000.
Well, but you look at it tonight, the game, Birmingham had what, two Man United loanees? Because Chong's is he a loanee from United?
No, I think Chong is from Leicester.
Okay. And then you have, Ahmad, but there's a lot of the clubs now are taking that tack of having a huge squad and just loaning them out to the lower leagues.
Well, no, he's still a Manchester United player on loan with Birmingham.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you look at him, he's been with Man United since 2019, made 5 appearances, spent 3 seasons out on loan in those 3 and a bit years.
yeah. Yeah. And then they had was it Hannibal was the other guy, right? He was a Man United loanee, and then Ahmad. So yeah.
Yeah. So you had 3 Man United loanees in the game tonight.
Yeah.
Which is great for Man United's development.
Right.
Probably not so much for our own.
Right. Yeah, everyone gets invested in Ahmad, and he'll have a breakout season, and then he just goes back to Man U. So I mean, that's the thing. Actually, with Dion Sanderson, I was, I thought he played well, but he looked like a shadow of the player that played for us, and maybe just because he was so organized, and it was not really much drama, but he didn't really light the world up, right?
No, I think the fact that Birmingham, for the most part, bossed the game.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the statistics, they dominated possession, they dominated the passing, they were quicker to the tackle, and we were lucky to come away with the win. But I think the fact that Birmingham did look so good on the ball meant that he really didn't have that much to do.
Yeah, he didn't stand out because there's nothing to do.
And like I said, for the most part, he controlled the threat of Sims fairly well.
Yeah. I agree with that.
At no point did you feel as though Sims was going to burst through past him and light it up.
Yeah.
So, well, David, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you on. It's always nice getting a new face on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Really appreciated it.
Guys, that's all we have time for this week. We are taking a couple of weeks to watch England win the World Cup. Fingers crossed. If they don't win the World Cup, then we will be back for the December 3rd game against Millwall, which obviously is the makeup game from Jose's ill-fated trip to the United Kingdom. So for this week, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep on the YouTube stuff. If you're listening on your car, don't crash. Justin, keep jogging. I know you like to listen to this while you're on the treadmill. And for everyone here at Our Stars and Stripes and Maple Syrup, we'll see you after the World Cup. Take care.